Hey, I want to talk to you real quick about why I never buy on a green candle. Okay, how many times have you bought a stock as it's starting to run and you're underwater a minute or two later, right? And then, you might be nervous or worried about it, or maybe wanting to cut the trade and, whatever it is. Um, it's just more often than not, price is going to retrace before it keeps continuing upward, right? It's going to retrace, back test an area, and continue upward, right? So I never ever buy on a green candle because I don't want to be underwater. I only buy on red candles as they're pulling back and then they continue up. So, you know, like my earlier example, the way I trade, most of the time I'm in the money within seconds, all right? Because that violent pullback is a great buying opportunity, and that's where I like to get in because it usually bounces very close, right? So if it breaks below that candle, right? So say it has a nice big break up to the upside and then it's pulling back. I always wait for at least a 50% pullback on that candle. um, unless the volume is just going ridiculous, that's different. Then you might only get a 20-30% pullback. But for the most part, I'm trading the 2 minute, 5 minute, and the 15 minute along with the hourly and daily. um, I'm always looking at those charts and those levels because, it may look big on a 2 minute chart, but it doesn't look that big on a 15 minute chart, right? So the pullback that I'm looking for is usually very deep. And, buying at a deep pullback level will put you in the money more often than not. You'll be in the money right away. And then, my strategy is okay, if that's the candle that is telling me that's my buy signal, then I'm waiting for it to pull back. Okay, if price breaks below that candle, I'm out. All right, that's it. My stop is below that candle. So I'm buying as it's retracing that big igniting candle, right? That big spike candle. So as it's pulling back, I'm scaling in quarter as it's pulling back, right? And then, I'm full size. If it gets to the, 3/4 mark, then that's where my biggest entry is. If it retraces the entire candle, chances are it's going to break lower. So, um, you know, th- sometimes you get the full washout. But I always like to try to wait for 50% pullback. So I'm scaling in at the 50% level, 70%, 75%. I'm all in right there, and then the last 25% of that candle is basically that's where my stop goes. I don't play around with it. Okay, so I suggest you do the same. Don't buy on green candles. Only buy on red candles. Only buy on nice pullbacks. Wait for a 50% pullback, unless the stock's going crazy. That's different. On stocks that go crazy, sometimes those are even harder to trade because they might spike and then you might get a couple green candles that are real big green candles where it barely pulls back. It does happen. But you need to be patient, all right, because it's always going to come back down. If it's going crazy, wait for the violent pullback. All right, wait for that big, deep pullback, probably into the 20 period moving average or right into VWAP or something like that, where it's just a real hard pullback, and then boom, that's where you're hitting it, and you get a real fat bounce. Violent pullbacks usually get violent bounces. Okay, small pullbacks usually get small bounces. So, um, I like to play the violent pullbacks on front side moves. Those are my favorites. I'm in the money right away. I can size up real nice because the bottom of that candle is my out. And, they're lower risk, high reward trades. If I'm lucky enough to get a 60-70% pullback and get all in, and then the next candle breaks the high of the previous candle, I'm in the money fat. So, guys, take this to heart. Do not buy on green candles. All right. If you're day trading, don't buy on green candles. And, if you're playing options, it's the same thing. You don't want to play an option on a spike, you want to play an option on the pullback because it's all about the premium. The money, an option's the money's made in the buy, right? So if you're buying something that's ripping up, you're paying extremely high premiums for that call option. You know, if you buy on a violent pullback, then premiums get crushed real quick, and you're able to get in at a real nice price. And then you know, if it continues upward, you're golden. So, guys, like I said, only buy on red candles. You know, if you're long, if you're short, you want to be shorting green candles that are, you know, near their highs, near resistance, right? And it's the same thing. Whatever reason you got into the trade for, you know, if you got in because that thing had if you think it's going to be a short, it put in a top, it had the violent pullback, then you're waiting for price to come back up and prove to you that, yeah, that's the top, right? I mean, you don't always get that. Yeah, in penny stocks and stuff, you don't get that as much. But, you know, I try to stay away from penny stocks. I usually like to trade mid and large caps are my favorites, right? The low floaters, I do trade the low floaters sometimes, especially if they're on the radar for a few days. And, you know, they spike, they consolidate, they're holding, and, you know, they've proven that they're going to hang at these levels and give me some more expansion and more range. Then cool, yeah, I'll stay with some of those. But it doesn't happen all that often, right? So, all right, hope this helps you guys. If you need help, reach out to me, istreamtrading@gmail.com, and I'll talk to you soon. Peace.